Alright, some more Witchwood spoilers. Priest. Starting off with one of my favorite cards in the set, Chameleos. This one's really cool. I don't know that it's that good. So the idea, right, is that getting a random card from your opponent's hand isn't that great. Like Mind Vision, not a particularly powerful card, particularly powerful effect. This, you get to re-roll on that every turn. So it can eventually hit a very... excuse me. Eventually hit a very high value card. Which makes it substantially better in that way. But the main strength of this, I think, is reading your opponent's hand. Over time, you start to develop a very clear picture of what cards they're holding, and so you know what sort of removal to expect, what sort of minions to play around, that kind of thing. Yeah, the issue is that it takes a long time to do that. They draw a card every turn. You only see one card every turn. It's gonna take a while. Like the games where that's most valuable is in like a control matchup, and if it's a control mirror, you're both gonna have pretty full hands usually. So if they have like 6+ cards in their hand, which is gonna be most of the time, you're gonna have a really hard time actually assembling the full picture, which diminishes the value of the scouting effect, which I think is the most interesting aspect of the card. So I'm kind of hoping I'm wrong about that, because it's a really cool effect. And being able to re-roll, it does make it much more powerful than Mind Vision. Like, you can just, if you know roughly what cards are in your opponent's deck, which you probably will, because everybody fucking net decks, you can just hold out for their high value tools and get it that way. I don't know. It's cool. I'm definitely going to try to play around with it. I just don't know if it's like a game changer or anything. And I think that the hand scouting is a bit overvalued just because it's so much slower than I think people are putting it into perspective. It's really slow. Divine Hymn. It's just another Circle of Healing type effect. This one does hit your face, which is really cool. Costing mana is kind of a downside. You normally want to... Like, the power of Circle of Healing, why it's so good, is because you can play it for free. And just chain them easily. But I really like the style of play. There's a powerful card that feeds into that style of play, where Priest just like has big injured things and heals them for cards and board presence and value and good stuff. And now it heals your face too. I mean, it's a really fair card, really fairly costed. It'll probably see use if that kind of shell comes about. The issue is like that kind of shell needs something to do. So we'll see if that has something to do. You know. Also, it doesn't hit the enemy characters, which is like obviously normally you wouldn't want to heal your opponents, but it means it's really bad with Akanai, obviously. So there's a little bit less possible avenues of synergy there, but it's a good card. Squashling. This card's actually really interesting. It looks just like complete trash, honestly, but is it? I mean, 10 mana, summon 5 2/1s and heal for 10? That actually sounds pretty good in a lot of matchups. Like against aggro, if you can survive to like turn 8 or later, you can heal for a lot and fill up your board with lots of annoying things that can trade into the little annoying things. In a control game, you can heal for a lot and make a full board that can trade into your opponent's stuff or start hitting them in the face, and they kind of have to deal with it. Like, they're only 2/1s, but you're getting a lot of 2/1s for one card. We talked about this before, where there's a lot of value in just making a big board with one single card. Now, I think the minions themselves are complete trash, but you just can't ignore the value, and with the healing attached, I think this is better than it looks. It's not like like a deck-defining thing, but it's definitely something to keep in mind for, I think, any kind of control priest. Because it's pretty easy to splash in, right? Like, it doesn't, like, bog your deck down. You can play it on turn 2, turn 4 against an aggro opponent and not feel too terrible. Like, turn 4, heal for 4, make two guys that can trade into shit. Yeah, I'll do that against Paladin. Fine, whatever. It's better than passing, right? So, I think this card's actually pretty cool. Vivid Nightmare, I mean, it's Mirage Caller. But it's a little bit different from Mirage Caller in 2 ways. So the first way, it's a spell, which means it's discounted by Radiant, and you can find it with Shadow Visions. That means you can find it more consistently and discount it, which opens up some combos. So you can have like Velen combos where like you play Radiance out, you revive a Velen, you Vivid Nightmare it twice, and then you like Mind Blast your opponent and do a lot of damage. There's a lot of cards to assemble, but I mean, it's an OTK. Anytime there's an OTK, it's worth looking at. And as always, being able to Shadow Visions out pieces of your combo is a really big deal. The other way to look at it is that it maintains the attack of what you copy. So, if anyone remembers the dinosaur deck from not that long ago, where Priest, basically with charging Devil Swords, you get those killed, or you cheat them out with like Shadow Essence or whatever, and then you can resurrect them as just 7/7s with charge. This is the same kind of thing. The Battle Cry doesn't trigger. I think if you play the Devil Sword, it would have already triggered, and then you copy it, or summon a copy of it with 1 health remaining. I'm not exactly sure if it would maintain the effect, but most of the time you wouldn't be doing that anyways. You'd be playing. Why can't I think of the 4-mana Resurrect? Eternal Servitude. Jesus. You'd play Eternal Servitude and then like Vivid Nightmare twice, and you have 21 charge damage, and that's a really fun deck to play. It's kind of a fringe, goofier deck, but it's viable. You can ladder that and do well, and this makes it better. So it makes a fun but viable, goofy Dinosaur Priest deck better. So this card's awesome. I don't know, like, if there's any other like ramifications of the card. It's probably not a big, super high power thing, but I mean, it's cool. Glitter Moth is crazy strong. If it hits like 2 dudes, if it hits like 2 or more, so you want to have a board of at least like 2 or more minions already that aren't just like they would have unreal health total, but it's enough if they're just like, 3 3s or whatever. Making 3 6s is good enough. Doubling all their health, so you just make the board extremely sticky, and then you pressure your opponent out of the game with that. If you can do that on turn 5 consistently, you have a serious deck. The question is, can we even do that? Because you don't have 2 drops and you don't have 4 drops. So you can't really curve out that well. So you're trying to play a deck where you need to curve out perfectly and be ahead on board. And then have this on turn 5, which is only going to happen like a third of the time. And play it and instantly win the game. So it's like, can you do that? I really don't know. I really do not know if there's anything to this. But if you can do it, the card is completely insane. If it hits, it is literally a game-winning effect. Like, that is crazy. That is so powerful. But if it doesn't, then it's obviously garbage. So we'll just have to see if anyone can piece together something that works. I feel like it's going to be really hard to do, but somebody might do it. Holy Water is really cool. Deal 4 damage and get a thing if it dies. I mean, it's neat. It's just a neat card. It's just more value. Single target removal that gives you stuff. So it's just grindy. Just grindy control tools. Entomb, I think is a lot better than this, but is a similar kind of thing that like defines priest control decks in Wilds. It's just like remove the best shit and then put it in your deck so that you go longer. This is not on that level, but it costs less and they can be played together. So like this might work as like a one-of in that style of deck. Also notable, speaking of one-ofs, you can use this on your own minions, and so you could use this in like a Reno Priest kind of thing. It'd be hard to use it on Reno because you'd have to get him damaged first, but like Kazakus is 3 health. So you can Kazakus and then Holy Water your own Kazakus to get another one. You know, you can Holy Water your brands or whatever. Just whatever you have. On your, it doesn't have to be your opponent's stuff. You can just fill your deck with cards that are good on their own, but they could also be good if you douse them in Holy Water and kill them and then just put them back in your hand. Not quite as good as bouncing, but it's cool to have a secondary mode to a card. Primarily, you want to be killing your opponent's stuff. Definitely. But it's worth pointing out that it's like a bounce effect in some situations. So it's a cool card. It might be a sleeper hit. Yeah. Quartz Elemental, 5 mana, 5/8. It's big. Can't attack while damaged. I don't know. It's big. So it comes down. Immediately one issue is that a lot of classes have ways to ping it. I mean, you can heal it on your turn, but you're investing 2 more mana into it, so it's almost like a 5 mana, 5/8 Overload 2. If you want to look at it that way, against like Mage, Rogue, Druid, Paladin, really, just trade a dude in. Yeah, so that makes it a bit less attractive. If it, let's say it trades into something, so the value in a big pit fighter type body is that you play them and then they start trading down fucking everything and just gobbling up that value. This does do that, but it's really slow. So you want to trade into like the biggest thing that's not as big as it, right? So you kill like their 5/4 or something. You've got a 5/3. That's a lot of health to recover now. So now you need. I mean, you've got like Divine Hymn, of course, Circle of Healing. So in that kind of deck, this could be good. It's just a lot. Like, it seems like it's going to be hard to swing multiple times. Like you swing, and then there's a pretty long cooldown where it requires other stuff to bring it back, and I don't know if it's worth that. It's definitely huge. It's a big body. We did see like Silence Priest for a while, just running big stuff. Actually, you know what? This could be excellent in Silence Priest. Why did I really think about that before? This is actually pretty good in Silence Priest. Because it can attack normally, but you can also just silence it and remove that. But most importantly, you can copy the body. So you can make like 5/8 taunts and stuff. And it's a huge health starting value. So just Divine Spirit, Inner Fire for 16 before accounting for any other health buffs. I think the card will probably see play somewhere. Maybe. It's expensive for what it is. So it's like on the fringe of not being good enough. But I don't know. There might be enough stuff going in its favor. It might be like a wild thing that pops up from time to time, though. And there might be better options, because you have like the statue, the 7/7 ancient statue. I hate that I'm starting to forget card names. I really don't like that. Coffin Crasher. 6 mana, 6/5 Death Rattle. Summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand. I don't know. It's just like too fair. It's like what do you even want to play? Deathwing's going away. There's like statues. In Wild, you would just play like Big Priest style, Resurrect Priest stuff with Barnes. So I don't think this works there. And in Standard, I don't know what you would actually want to cheat out. They didn't even, they didn't even print any new big Death Rattle minions. I kind of thought one might be coming when I saw this, but they just didn't do that. So I don't know. You can cheat out a statue 3 turns early. Is that worth playing a 6-mana 6/5? Probably not. I don't know. Anytime you can cheat stuff out is worth looking into. So it's definitely worth testing the card in some capacity, but I'm just not seeing where it could be good. Lady in White, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a powerful effect. It's just, I don't know. It makes like you clerics 3/3s. Maybe you can play with Quartz Elementals or 8/8s. You know, Tortol and Shell Razors are 4-mana 6/6 taunts. Like, there's a lot of cards that just get really, really crazy. But I think here's how I look at this card. If you already have a lot of high health minions for their cost, and you are some sort of board control deck, then you just throw in Lady in White. I don't know if you even build around this card. I think if you just have that condition, you just throw her in because some games you'll draw her and play her, and it'll be really powerful. But I don't know if it's like if you build around it, you're just not going to draw her before you draw most of your other cards a decent enough percentage of the time that I don't know that it's worth doing when the upside's not even that insane. Like, it's a really strong effect, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not like game winning. Like, Priest can do better in terms of making big minions, as we've seen. So I don't know, but it'll definitely see use. I think for sure this card is strong enough to see play. I don't think it's good enough to build a deck around. If it weren't a legendary, probably. This is kind of a problem, a recurring problem in this game, with legendary cards being one-ofs in decks of 30. But they're all like, ooh, build around me, but then you can't like consistently count on it being there because it's a one-of. We really need an answer to this issue. Nightscale Matriarch. 7 mana, 4/9. That's actually not the worst stat line ever. It's not good. But like a 4/9's big. It's hard to kill, which is the important thing, because this is the mana geode effect. Except it extends to all your minions, and it makes 3/3s. I think this card's actually really good. Plus the dragon on top of it. It's kind of relevant. You probably still want to be playing Dustbreakers, right? Yeah. It's like you put it in the same kind of deck you do the Divine Hidden stuff, and maybe even Quartz Elemental. You just have lots of big dudes, and you heal your big dudes, and you get bonus 3/3s with it. I mean, it's expensive, but it's probably going to stick around. It's kind of hard to just kill a 9 health minion. And it's going to kill a lot of the stuff trying to take it out along the way. 4 attack is not nothing. So it's reasonably sized, and 3/3s can go a long way. Just free 3/3s. If you get like 1 3/3, this card's really solid-ish. It's like because it's a 7-drop, it's not like amazing, but it's solid. But if you get like 2, it starts getting really good. If you can make like 3, 4, or more 3/3s off of this, I think that's actually crazy. So it's just a question of if you can pull. I think the pieces might be there for the style of deck. It's just also losing enough that I don't know. It's like losing Cabal Talon Priest sucks. This might be more of a wild deck, but I feel like Priest can do better stuff than this in wild too. So I don't know. There could be something to this archetype. Yeah. I don't know. Lots of really cool priest cards. I don't have much else to say there. But, like, really, this is a really cool pool of cards. Every single one of these cards is interesting, actually. Looking back at it, every single one of these cards is interesting. This is a good way to design 10 cards. Good job, Blizzard. You did it on this one.